Hi, this is Debbie from Organic Oasis in California Zone 9B. Follow me today and I will show you how I do my monthly maintenance of my worm bin. If you're thinking of getting a worm bin or you have one and you're struggling with it, I'll show you some tips. It's very, very simple. Just once a month, maybe it takes about 20 minutes, and you can have great compost for your garden. Thanks for watching. We are now in spring in Northern California, Zone 9B, and this is an awesome time for my worm bin. So I've been through winter where it's been freezing cold, and the worms really slowed down their eating. And so I wasn't feeding them a lot. I had them on heat and was trying to keep the temperature, at like 75 degrees, 70, 75 degrees, but they just slow down with the season. They don't eat as much. And now this bin has come to life. And you can see little babies in here, lots of little babies. I've got lots of worms coming back here. And little tiny babies. I don't know if you can see them. But I'm definitely going to start harvesting my compost every month now. With this bin, we harvest monthly, and we get really good compost. I've had this bin for quite some time, maybe 4 years. I haven't bought any new worms. Here's an apple core that they pretty much demolished. But yeah, they're coming back to life. This bin is being filled with all, you can see all stages of worms. Let's go down. I'm going to go down and let's look at the second bin down. I'm going to be harvesting one of the bins today. So this is the top one. This is the one I've been putting the food in. So I'm going to pick this up. Let's look at the one underneath. Look at all those worms. Oh my goodness. I don't want any to drop out. So this is the second bin down. So you can see there's still tons of worms here working on composting this bin. This bin, the way it works is it's supposed to be that all the worms will move up to the top for food. But the truth is, this food down here, there's still enough stuff in here for them to continue composting. So they have not all moved up, and that's fine. This bin will not be ready it won't be finished compost for another 2 months. You can see there's lots of worms in here. They are moving up though. There's plenty on the top that you can see here. There's quite a few in here, little ones too, little baby ones. Here we go. So now let's go to the next one down and see what's going on down here. Oh, wow, this is heavy. Okay, watch this. So here we go. We have another, this is the third bin down. As you can see, still tons of worms down here. And this is the third bin. But again, part of this is the weather has been really cold. The worms have been slow in composting, and so it's just taking longer for them to get through all this. And as long as there's food in here, they're going to stay in here and just keep working at it. So as you can see in this bin here, there's still paper that they're eating, and just tons of worms, right? Probably it looks like almost more worms in this bin than the top. The other thing is when it's cold, they're going to move down to the warmest spot where they feel comfortable. The amount of worms in this bin right now, I'm almost thinking, it feels to me like this was the spot they liked the best, because there is hundreds of worms in this layer. So it's kind of like they must have liked the temperature here. So now, as you can see, there's just so many worms in this one. Again, all different sizes, different stages of their lives.
Okay, and now we'll go down to the very bottom one, which is the one I plan to harvest today. And see how many worms are in that one. Okay, let's see. This is nice and loosened up. Let's see. This is very good. This is going to be awesome compost. My garden really needs good compost right now. I planted peppers, and because it got really cold after I planted them, they're not doing great. So I've got pill bugs got to my little pepper starts and demolished a few of them. I'm not happy, but it is what it is, and I'm going to be needing to really add some compost and rev up the soil. So this is the third bin, and here's the bin. This is the fourth bin. So this is the bin I would be harvesting today. And as you can see, lots of worms in here as well. So what I'm going to need to do is to keep this one on top exposed to the light, and just leave the lid off a bit today, and hopefully a lot of these worms will move down to the tray beneath them, so that by the time I go to actually using this, I won't have many worms in them, and if I find worms, I can pick them out. So that's the theory behind this bin. You can see the compost is awesome. But yeah, the theory is that if I move this bin to the top, put light on it, the worms will burrow down, they'll go to the next layer, and then when I harvest this, there won't be any worms. That doesn't usually work very well, and I do end up a lot of times having to pick them out. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'll be moving this bin to the top. And I'll just leave the light off, the lid off, so, and try to get them to move down. There's not as many worms down here, but by loosening this the way I'm doing this, it will leave openings. It'll make it a little easier for them to get down there through the holes. Okay, so I've got this going. I just have a few more spots here to here we go. All right, so let's see. I'm going to go ahead and look down here. This is the bottom. I always leave paper in the bottom just in case we get any stray worms down here. They'll have something to eat. And there's not too many worms. So I'll just leave this here. There's a couple, but not a lot. I'll put the worms I find, I'll just kind of scoop them. I'll scoop these worms into the top. Okay, so here I dumped the worms back into the top of the other one. I have shredded cocoa coir here that I bought on Amazon. It's been pre-wet, pre-moistened. Just gonna put some of this down in case any get down here. And now what I need to do is put these back in order. So what I'm going to do is this one here is the one I will be harvesting. Okay. So this one is the one that will go here. Now this will go on the bottom, and in 1 month this will be ready to compost. Next, this one. And notice the worms that we saw on the top are no longer here because as the light hits them, they do go down. Here's a little baby. And this one is the one that's been the feeding one. So this is the one I've been putting the food in. I want to make this a little more even so that it sits better. Yeah, these need to be just smoothed out a little bit so that this sits evenly on top here. So we got that here. So this one was the feeding one. So this one, the one that was on the bottom that I now moved to the top, I'm gonna go ahead and leave the lid off, and I'm going to just continue to come over with my little rake and kind of rake it to kind of force the worms to go down. That's the whole idea here, is to get, the worms don't like light, so if I continue to do this throughout the day, they will go down to the next layer to get out of the light. So then when I finally go to use this compost, there will be not very many worms in it, and I should be able to pick out any stray worms. So that's the goal here. Also, we're heating up in California, and the weather is getting warm. So I've got some frozen bottles in my freezer to put in here when it gets a little too warm to cool off the bin. Okay, so we'll come back later and see how they're doing. So I'm back from putting my worm compost into my bags, and I decided to leave a little bit of the compost in this top bin. That's going to be my new bin. Remember I said there's a lot of worms that had gone down. They had gone down through these holes and had gone to the level below. But some of the worms still were up here. So as I was taking and harvesting the worm compost, there were quite a few worms. And so as I put them in my bins, they were going deeper and deeper. So as you can see here, there's quite a bit still here. So I'm just going to leave these in here with the compost, and that'll be good for the new compost to get started. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add shredded cocoa coir, and I'm just going to put it in. This is damp. This is dampened cocoa coir, and I bought this on Amazon, and so far this was 3 little packages of the cocoa coir, and it has filled up 2 of my bins. So it's lasted me 2 months, 2 bins. And I used to use newspaper, just newspaper. I've used shredded cocoa coir, which is my favorite, but it's, it costs more. So I'm always trying to look for cheaper ways. I sometimes mix this. So this is pretty wet, so I'll probably mix some newspaper in with this. I'm gonna put some rock dust in this and some food for the worms. I really prefer this shredded cocoa coir because it's just so soft and nice and easy for the worms to digest. Now I'm gonna run in and get some paper to put in here. So we have the cocoa coir here. It's quite damp. I went in my house and got my paper shredder. So I'm just gonna go ahead and and put the shredded paper in here. This will absorb a lot of the moisture that's in the cocoa coir. The cocoa coir is awesome. I mean, it's so soft, but it also holds a lot of moisture, which can be good and bad. And this, where we are right now in California, we've had a couple days 70 and close to 80, and so it can get hot and dry. We're not a humid state, so it's nice to have the cocoa coir that's going to stay damp and not dry out quickly. The newspaper or the paper I put in, if you use all paper, it dries out really fast. So mixing it like this is a nice balance. Now, there's no worms up here right now, but they will move up. And what I need to do now is add a little food. I also usually put in some rock dust. I don't have any with me. I'm putting in an apple core, a rotten banana peel, some banana peels. I don't do the thing where you set it, you put all the food on one side of the bin, mainly just because I'm finding that it doesn't quite work that way. The worms are just kind of all over. They do their own thing. So And now I got some coffee grounds. I'm gonna put the coffee grounds in. Put some coffee grounds, and you'll see there's some bird, another apple core, and there's some bird food, some bird kibble, actually, not food. And what I like to do is I have this, it's just a piece of paper, it's just cardboard. They like it dark, so I keep this on top, and it just keeps like a layer of darkness here for the worms. And I've got the lid. I'm not going to add moisture because you saw that the cocoa core is already damp, so it doesn't need moisture. And that's it.